I believe any writer can pick up a tarot deck and come up with new ideas, new characters, new plot points. They can come up with all sorts of things without ever knowing one thing about the tarot. I truly believe that. But having a little information is probably useful and can help you make stronger connections, better ideas, and just make you feel more confident when you go to grab that deck. Hi, I'm Jennifer Gregson, a tarot book coach who helps writers get past fears so they can get to the fun part, the writing. I wanted to start a little video series called Creative Tarot 101. So today let me give you just the basic rundown of sort of the makeup of a tarot deck, and then I'm going to delve into the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana. So a tarot deck has basically 3 parts. You have the Major Arcana, which goes from the Fool to the World. And then you have the Minor Arcana, which is broken up into 4 suits, and it goes from the Ace to the King. Now I say there's 3 parts because the court cards, which are the Page, the Knights, the Queens, and the Kings, sort of need to be dealt with a little differently. But today I'm going to group them in with the Minor Arcana. And then the next video, which will be next month, we'll go into more in depth with the court cards, and then I'll finish up with the Major Arcana. That's sort of my idea. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below so that I can add to this video series. So like I said, the Minor Arcana is broken up into 4 suits, sort of like a regular deck of playing cards with slight differences. So we have the Cups. The cups represent the element of water. They also represent emotions, how you deal with people, how you deal with your own emotions, how you deal with other people's emotions. They can also deal with relationships in general, creativity, intuition. That's sort of, if you looked up what does cups in tarot represent, that's what you would find out. You may see something totally different when you look at the Cups cards, but that is what generally Cups represent. Then you have the suit of Pentacles. Pentacles usually represent the element of earth. They can also represent financial or money issues or anything tangible, things that you can touch, things in your house, your possessions, your job, your career, your sort of financial, anything that would tie into financial, right? It looks like a coin. The Pentacles look sort of like a coin. I'm just going to hold that up there so you can see. Then we have the Swords. The Swords represent the element of air. I always like to think of this as when you slice a sword. That kind of helps me remember that one. The other 2 are very easy, I think, to remember. Cups hold water. A pentacle is like a coin. The sword kind of slices through air. It's sort of how I remember that. And the swords and the air represent your intellect, the things you think of, your mental capacity, how you think of things, how you view things in a very intellectual, logical sense. It also represents thoughts into action and words and communication. And our final suit is the Wands. They represent the element of fire. So I always like to think wood burns really easily. You sometimes make a torch out of a stick, sort of how I remember this. So it represents fire. It represents your creativity, your passion, the things you're excited about. It can also represent the things you can't see, your spirituality, the way you connect with the universe, the way you see the universe. It also can represent how you feel about your life's purpose or your vision for your life. So those are just sort of the overall basics. Okay, that's great. So how do you take those basics and turn them into helping you with your writing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle up these 4 stacks. And then I'm going to take one stack and create a protagonist, one stack and create an antagonist, one stack to create sort of a conflict or main plot point for a story, and then a final card to sort of tell us how maybe the story would end, or maybe do a 3-part beginning, middle, end. We'll see how this goes. So basically, I'm going to show you an example for each of those using only one type. So we're going to start with our main character from the Cups cards. So I pulled the 2 of Cups. So what do we know about Cups? We know that Cups are about emotions and our relationships, our water. There's no water in this particular card, but we know that the element of water is always there. If I'm going to think of a protagonist, I'm going to choose one of these people, and I'm gravitating toward the sort of more feminine character in the white and the blue. For some odd reason, she reminds me of a nun. So since I write YA coming of age novels, I'm going to say this is a young girl that goes to a Catholic boarding school. That's where I'm going to start with that. Now I could go into a whole bunch of stuff, but let's just say she is very emotional, right? Very typical teenage girl. Let's make her 16. Let's say she is in love with someone she shouldn't be, sort of a little Romeo and Juliet kind of situation. Not quite sure who he is yet. Maybe instead of an antagonist, we could make him the next card. So let's do that. So what do you see when you see this card? What kind of character do you immediately gravitate toward? And how does knowing that the cups go with your emotions, that go with how you feel about things, that help you with your intuition and your creativity, right? So let's say her parents are very, very wealthy and they sent her away to boarding school because in public school she was running with a bad crowd. Okay, like this. And she's still in love with the quintessential bad boy, even though they sent her away. Let's start there. Okay. So now we'll go to the bad boy. We're going to use the Pentacles. Okay, so this is a very feminine style card, and that's okay. I kind of see this bad boy as being misunderstood. The poet, maybe he rides a motorcycle. He likes the finer things in life. Let's say, right? So the Pentacles, what do we know about the Pentacles? We know it's the earth element. So he's an earth sign. He could even be a Taurus. My husband's a Taurus, so we could totally, I know a little bit more about Tauruses than some other signs. They like the finer things in life. They like good food. They like their surroundings to be pretty and beautiful. They like nice sheets. They like nice clothes. Maybe he loves his leather jacket, if we're going to go with the very quintessential bad boy. Again, you don't have to do that. Maybe he loves birds. I don't know, the bird thing. It's like falcon, right? So maybe he calls his bike the Falcon, right? We could totally do that, right? So what do you see when you see this card, right? The wine. Maybe his parents own a winery. You could set the whole thing in California. Like this would be kind of fun. Okay? So now let's think of a basic plot point using the tarot cards. And I'm going to use the swords for this. Okay, so our main plot point. This is the 10 of Swords. So what do we know about the swords? We know it's about your intellect. We know it's about that air element. We know it's about how you think of things, how you perceive things, how you think of things, and your words and your communication. Now, this person is down. This person has been beaten down. So maybe there's a death. Still got that modern day sort of Romeo and Juliet thing going on, or West Side Story. The newest updated movie came out, so kind of have that theme going on in my head. But I'm sort of seeing it set in California. Surfer, like 60s. That'd be interesting. Like sort of the Annette and Frankie beach movies, right? But make him even badder. make him sort of a rebel without a cause on the motorcycle with the leather jacket. But there's some sort of death. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to mean a literal death, but it could. He could have accidentally killed someone with his motorcycle. There could have been an accident. He could be laid up. You can go a couple of different ways with this. The biggest thing with this card is they are very much down, but the sun is still going to rise. And that's kind of how I always think of this card. There's still going to be things to do. Your world does not stop just because of whatever happened to hurt you, to bring you down. So our main character is going to have to maybe learn to love again. So if let's say he died from a motorcycle accident, that'd be interesting. Maybe they sent her away to deal with that, and she's having to deal with grief while learning to be away from her family, her friends, sort of feeling ostracized. So that's where I would take that. Okay, now how does the book end? So we're going to how would I end this, or what kind of plot points can I come up with using the Wands card? Well, this is a very happy ending. This usually represents some sort of wedding or ceremony of some type. If you don't want to go with a wedding because they're in high school, you could totally be like, hey, I'm going to end the book at graduation, and she is happy and has discovered herself and maybe has a new boyfriend, or some sort of new relationship, or she has decided that she doesn't need a relationship. She's completely happy with who she is. But this is a very happy ending sort of card. And the Wands are all about passion, the spirituality. Maybe she has learned to be in relationship with whatever her version of God or the universe is. That could be interesting. Like maybe she completely lost faith and her parents sent her to this Catholic school and she does not get along with the nuns. Like that would be a really interesting book. Coming up with an interesting idea here. But by the end of it, she has a relationship with maybe herself. She understands herself better. Maybe she has a really deep relationship with a new friend or a new dude, new girl. But she definitely has faith again in something. And isn't that an interesting way to end the book? And that is how I would use that little bit of knowledge that I know about the tarot suits to help me come up with ideas. I would love to know if you tried this with the cards that I saw. What did you see? I would love to know. Like, did you pick out the guy from this and start a completely different story? Like, this always kind of reminds me of the doctor symbol. So maybe he's in med school. Like, you could there's so many things you could do. And like I always say, there is no wrong answer. There's only your answer. And your answer is beautiful. So I would love to know what you came up with. And if you like this exercise, one, let me know in the comments below so that I can definitely create the next part of this video series next month. But two, hit that link in my description box to join the waitlist for my signature course, Turn on the Tap, so you can get early access and lots of information about my new course that helps you overcome writer's block once and for all using tarot. We start in June, so don't delay. And I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I make videos at least every other week for writers, and I would love to see you there. Have a great day.